Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I hope you guys are okay. So we are going to today explore the Tower of London. Is next to Tower Bridge. You can see to my behind. This is the called Tower Bridge. People also know it is London Bridge. Actually, it is not London Bridge. London Bridge is the next one. So when you go to the Tower Bridge, you can find out all of the ticket and time information on their website. This is the ticket price. You can get the screenshot from here. So adult is 34.80, so nearly 35 pound. So when you come to here, visit online or on the physically, you can buy the ticket by the Tower Hill. It's next to the entrance, the gate. So you can see behind to me is Tower of London, and front of me is Tower of Bridge. So next two is together. When it comes to here, Tower Bridge, you can explore the Tower Bridge. Inside, all of the engineer, everything is here. Also, you can explore the Tower of London. You can see, imagine all of the history of Tower engine, pigeon, crown, Koh-i-Noor. Also, there is historical, all of the information. You can see the behind of me, lots of the people, thousand people every day they visiting Tower of London and Tower of Bridge. So this is the iconic places of the London. Whenever people come into cross the world, so people come to here. First, they're taking photo or videos from the front of the Tower of Bridge. Then explore the Tower of London. The ticket price is very goes to high. Is 35 pound per adult per person. And if you are UK resident, or you can get the benefit, is called UK government benefit, then maybe you can get just only £1 per ticket. So including your household, everything, just all of the under 5 years children is free. In front of me they can see animals. This is the all of this very nice and attractive. So this is the building. So is front of me, I can show you the building and everything is very nice and popular. This is the very long history, thousand history. We will be see the history all of this later on. So I will be give you all of the information from their website, and you can watch. This is the ticket price. You can show front of the this is the ticket office. You can see lots of the people at the long queue. So when I have to come to here, I can see there is lots of the people on the queue, so I can't go to there. So I can explore that there is one of the showing just only £1 ticket for me, because I'm the UK resident. So is for me just only £1. So you can see all of the people there. I can show you there is showing £1 ticket. You can see front of me. So this is the ticket office. So I'm going to there for buying ticket. So this is lots of the people. So I'm on the queue. So I just stay on the queue. I'm going to forward over there. You guys hope with me enjoy and find out the all of the explore. You can explore also Koh-i-Noor, the crown Koh-i-Noor, who is wearing the hat on the queen, king, and everyone. This is the long history. Is coming from some India continent, and some of the other is empire. There is holding the queen is called Koh-i-Noor. So again, I am showing the your family. If you come to here for ticket purchasing ticket, this is the member for free unlimited, and you can see this is the group ticket, all of the adult people, children ticket, all of the information here. So you can see all of this here. So I just bought ticket. You can see me. My ticket price is just only £1, because I am a UK resident and I have the entitled to buying £1. So I just purchased the ticket, going to entrance to there. There is some security, so you have to check show your ticket. So I just passed the first one. There is two step of the security. So once you pass, you have to continue walking by following the people. So enters the gate, there is another security. They will be check your barcode. So I'll be show you the later on. So this is the I just passing this first gate. So there is two ladies over there. So people are walking. also working. This is the now is going to by fence. So through the fence is going to by main entrance or through the main gate to entrance or Tower of London. So you can see behind to me also the people to going to there taking picture, selfie, everything. You can see the lions over the statues, everything is there. The most beautiful place is the World Heritage place. So whenever you can visit to London, if you have any friends or relative over there is living, this the hints is very clue is this. You can find out one of the person who is living there UK permanently, or if you can get the benefit, so you can just invite him with you. You can get very cheaper ticket, because if you have 5-6 people you can get 35 pound each. This is going to maybe 200 pound, so it's very expensive as well. If you just grab the one of your friend, I just passed the second security. So second security just check my ticket. So I am already inside, so I'm just watching what is the inside. I don't know, this is the first time I'm visiting there, so I never ever came to here. People who are coming to across the world, they're coming to here. I can see lots of the people, the crowdy. So now you can guys enjoy and explore all of the Tower of London. And now I'll be play the all of the history of the Tower of London. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, share and comments. If you from
Welcome to Tower
YouTube
of London.
watching,
Discover
please subscribe
London's
the channel.
castle, a
If you're from
secure
Facebook,
fortress,
please
royal
like and
palace,
share,
and
please.
infamous prison.
Please.
Discover their beauty and history
Thank you
in
so
the
much.
spectacular exhibition. Tower of London is the next to Tower Bridge, postcode EC3N4AB. Tower of London tickets. Tower of London ticket prices. Pre-book a ticket and time slot online before you visit, or purchase tickets on the day from the ticket office on Tower Hill. The Tower of London is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Royal Palace and Fortress of the Tower of London, the Tower, is one of England's most evocative ancient monuments. There is a tangible sense of history in every tower and around every corner.
In 1810, when eventually literally turned out this country, the mint make the coins, a different organisation makes the notes. So obviously a very powerful symbol of monarchy, to have a coin in your hand that has your king's face on it. Now,
Making it an endlessly fascinating place for visitors from all around the world. The buildings and layout that we see today stand as the culmination of a sequence which started around 1067, and have developed dynamically ever since in line with the changing needs of the site's occupants, users and visitors. A World Heritage Site, the tower was inscribed onto the World Heritage List in 1988 under 2 of the required criteria for inscription. The justification was Criterion E, a monument symbolic of royal power since the time of William the Conqueror. The Tower of London served as an outstanding model throughout the kingdom from the end of the 11th century. Like it, many keeps were built in stone, e.g. Colchester, Rochester, Hedingham, Norwich or Carisbrooke Castle on the Isle of Wight. Criterion IV. The White Tower is the example par excellence of the Royal Norman Castle in the late 11th century. The ensemble of the Tower of London is a major reference for the history of medieval military architecture. The story of the Tower of London. When William the Conqueror built a mighty stone tower at the centre of his London fortress in the 1070s, defeated Londoners must have looked on in awe. Now nearly 1,000 years later, the tower still has the capacity to fascinate and horrify. As protector of the crown jewels, home of the Yeomen Warders and its legendary guardians, the pampered ravens, the tower now attracts over 3 million visitors a year. Here, the ceremony of the keys and other traditions live on, as do the ghost stories and terrible tales of torture and execution. But the tower also has a richer and more complex history, having been home to a wide array of institutions including the Royal Mint, the Royal Armouries and even a zoo. Fortress, palace, prison. As the most secure castle in the land, the tower guarded royal possessions and even the royal family in times of war and rebellion. But for 500 years monarchs also used the tower as a surprisingly luxurious palace. Throughout history, the tower has also been a visible symbol of war and fear. Kings and queens imprisoned their rivals and enemies within its walls. The stories of prisoners, rich and poor, still haunt the tower. William the Conqueror's fortress. In the 1070s, William the Conqueror, fresh from his victory but nervous of rebellion, began to build a massive stone fortress in London to defend and proclaim his royal power. Nothing like it had ever been seen in England before. William intended his mighty castle keep not only to dominate the skyline, but also the hearts and minds of the defeated Londoners. The tower took around 20 years to build. Masons arrived from Normandy, bringing with them stone from Caen in France. Most of the actual labor was provided by Englishmen. The fortress expands. Throughout history, the tower has been adapted and developed to defend and control the nation. Henry III, 1216–72, and Edward I, 1272–1307, expanded William's fortress, adding huge, curtain, defensive, walls with a series of smaller towers, and enlarging the moat. They also transformed the tower into England's largest and strongest, concentric, castle, with one ring of defences inside another. Did you know? In 1240, Henry III had the tower's great keep painted white, making it the White Tower. Tower of Strength. Kings and queens used the tower in times of trouble to protect their possessions and themselves. Arms and armor were made, tested and stored here until the 1800s. The tower also controlled the supply of the nation's money. All coins of the realm were made at the Tower Mint from the reign of Edward I until 1810. Kings and queens also locked away the valuables and jewels at the tower, and even today, the crown jewels are protected by a garrison of soldiers. Henry VI and the Wakefield Tower. The Tower of London has also been the infamous setting for stories of royal tragedy and death. During the Wars of the Roses, Henry VI was murdered here in 1471 and, later, the children of his great rival Edward IV, the princes in the tower, vanished within its walls in 1483. In 1674, 2 skeletons were unearthed at the tower. The bones were re-examined in 1933 and proved to be those of 2 boys aged about 12 and 10, exactly the same ages as the princes when they disappeared. Yeomen Warders at the Tower of London. The famous Yeomen Warders, recognized as symbols of the tower all over the world, have been here for centuries. They were originally part of the Yeomen of the Guard, the monarch's personal bodyguard who traveled with him. Henry VIII, 1507–47, decreed that some of them would stay and guard the tower permanently. Did you know? Henry VII's personal guards were the first beef eaters, so named as they were permitted to eat as much beef as they wanted from the king's table. Ceremony of the Keys. Today the Yeomen Warders, or the beef eaters, guard the visitors, but still carry out ceremonial duties, such as unlocking and locking the tower every day in the ceremony of the keys. They wear their red state dress uniforms for important occasions at the tower, and also for special events such as the firing of the huge cannon on the wharf, known as the gun salutes. Royal life and death. Medieval kings and queens lived in luxurious apartments at the tower. They worshipped in the Chapel Royal, kept a menagerie of exotic animals, which lasted until the 19th century, and welcomed foreign rulers at magnificent ceremonial occasions. Although long since vanished, there was once a splendid royal palace to the south of the White Tower. Henry VIII modernized the rooms inside in preparation for the coronation of his new bride, Anne Boleyn, in 1533. She and the king feasted here in splendor the night before Anne processed in triumph through the city of London to Westminster Abbey. 3 years later Anne was back at the tower, this time accused of adultery and treason. She was held in the same luxurious lodgings before being executed by sword on Tower Green. Image. Anne Boleyn. Copyright National Portrait Gallery, London. Sent to the Tower. For over 800 years, men and women have arrived at the Tower, uncertain of their fate. Some stayed for only a few days, other many years. During the Tudor Age, the Tower became the most important state prison in the country. Anyone thought to be a threat to national security came here. The future Elizabeth I, Lady Jane Grey, Sir Walter Raleigh and Guy Fawkes were all sent to the Tower. Even in the 20th century, German spies were brought here and shot. The Chapel Royal of St. Peter ad Vincula. The chapel is perhaps best known as being the burial place of some of the most famous Tower prisoners. This include 3 queens of England, Anne Boleyn, Catherine Howard and Jane Grey, all of whom were executed within the Tower in the 16th century. Henry VIII's wives were accused of adultery and treason. Lady Jane Grey was an unfortunate pawn in a plot to replace Mary I and was executed for high treason in 1554, aged only 17. Did you know, after their execution, the headless bodies of the queens were buried quickly and carelessly under the chapel without any memorial? Resting in peace. In 1876, when the chapel was restored, the remains unearthed in the chancel, including those of Anne Boleyn, were reburied beneath a marble pavement, inscribed with the names and coats of arms. Legends and ghosts. The Tower has been a visitor attraction since the 18th century, but numbers of tourists increased dramatically in the 1800s. Visitors were fascinated by the stories of England's turbulent and sometimes gruesome history. Stories of ghosts haunt the Tower. Anne Boleyn is said to stalk the site of her execution on Tower Green. Arbella Stewart, the cousin of Elizabeth I who starved while under arrest for marrying without royal permission, is said to frequent the Queen's house still. 2 smaller ghosts are thought to be the princes in the Tower, and the Yeomen Warders even tell a chilling tale of a huge bear who occasionally appears to frighten visitors to death. The Tower Ravens. One of the most famous legends of the Tower surrounds the ravens. The story goes that should the ravens leave the Tower, both it and the kingdom will fall. The ravens at the Tower today are cared for by a dedicated yeoman warder known as the Raven Master. Did you know? These highly intelligent birds have one flight feather trimmed to stop them flying away. The Tower today. The Tower of London is still one of the world's leading tourist attractions and a World Heritage Site, attracting visitors from all over the world. And when the gates are locked and all the visitors have gone, the Tower embraces a thriving community within its walls. The Tower of London is still home to the Yeomen Warders and their families, the resident governor, and a garrison of soldiers. There is a doctor and a chaplain. And there is even a pub. The Chapel Royal of St. Peter ad Vincula. Explore the chapel on our podcast. In the 3rd part of our podcast mini-series on spaces we love, we're joining assistant curator Alfred Hawkins, who has chosen to take us into the Chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula at the Tower of London. As the burial place of Anne Boleyn, the Chapel Royal holds a special place to many history fans, but there is so much more to this community place of worship. Alfred reveals that the myths of history can be just as important as the truth. A history of royal jubilees. What is a jubilee? Jubilees mark a major milestone in the reign of a monarch, celebrating their life and service. The naming of these celebrations follows the traditions of wedding anniversaries. 25 years is called a silver jubilee, 50 years a golden jubilee, 60 years a diamond jubilee, and 70 years a platinum jubilee. History of jubilees. George III is often credited as the first British monarch to mark a golden jubilee, 50 years, a tradition followed by Queen Victoria and Elizabeth II. George V celebrated a silver jubilee, but a few early British monarchs had reigns of more than 50 years. These included Henry III, Edward III, and James VI and first as King of Scotland. Unfortunately, little is known about how they celebrated their jubilees. However, the few records that exist reveal some surprising similarities to the present day. Edward III, 1327–1377, celebrated his Golden Jubilee in 1376 with a spectacular week-long joust at London's Smithfield, beginning with a magnificent procession from the Tower of London accompanied by trumpeters. George III's Golden Jubilee, 1809. George III, 1760–1820, was the first British monarch to mark his Golden Jubilee in a significant way and really began the tradition of national and international celebrations. George III celebrated his Jubilee on the 25th of October 1809, the start of the 50th year of his reign, but since the reign of Queen Victoria, Golden Jubilees have been celebrated after the completion of 50 years of service. The celebrations were a lavish, brilliant, noisy affair with processions, feasts and a 50-gun salute fired from the Tower of London. A service of thanksgiving at St. Paul's Cathedral was followed by banquets held in the King's honour, with food and money provided for the poor so everyone, even those in prison, could partake in the festivities. Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee, 1887. Queen Victoria, 1837–1901, had largely withdrawn from public life after the death of Prince Albert, her much-loved consort, in 1861. Her Golden Jubilee was seen as an important opportunity to reconnect with the nation. Queen Victoria celebrated her Golden Jubilee over the course of 2 days, starting with a lavish outdoor breakfast near Prince Albert's mausoleum at Windsor on the 20th of June 1887. She then travelled by train to London for a banquet at Buckingham Palace. The following day Victoria processed in an open carriage to Westminster Abbey for a ceremony of thanksgiving. During prayers at the Abbey, a beam of sunlight fell upon her bowed head which observers took as a mark of divine favour. On her return to Buckingham Palace, she appeared on the balcony and was cheered by the crowd. That evening there was another banquet followed by a firework display in the palace garden. Did you know? Queen Victoria was the first British monarch to celebrate a Diamond Jubilee, marking 60 years of her reign. Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee, 1897. 10 years later, on the 20th of June 1897, Queen Victoria became the first British monarch to celebrate a Diamond Jubilee, marking 60 years of service. The day itself was marked privately with a service of thanksgiving at St. George's Chapel, Windsor. 2 days later, Victoria headed a royal procession through London, beginning at Buckingham Palace. At St. Paul's Cathedral there was a short service of thanksgiving celebrated outside to spare the 78-year-old Queen, who suffered from arthritis, from having to climb the steps. Crowds of people watched from specially erected stands and thousands more crowded the steps of the cathedral. Did you know? Victoria was Britain's longest reigning monarch until her record was surpassed by Queen Elizabeth II in 2015. George V's Silver Jubilee, 1935. Queen Victoria's grandson, George V, 1865–1936, celebrated his Silver Jubilee, 25 years, on the 6th of May 1935. It was the first ever celebration of a British monarch's Silver Jubilee. The day was declared a public holiday and pageants, fetes, and parties were held in glorious May sunshine. The King and Queen Mary attended a service of thanksgiving at St. Paul's Cathedral before appearing on the balcony of Buckingham Palace to cheering crowds. Throughout May, the King and Queen Mary took carriage rides through North London, including one accompanied by the granddaughters, Princess Margaret, and the future Elizabeth II. Did you know? Silver Jubilee commemorative mugs were given to every child born on Jubilee Day, the 6th of May 1935. Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee, 2022. In 2022, Queen Elizabeth II became the first British monarch to celebrate a Platinum Jubilee. In the UK, celebrations were inspired by jubilees throughout history. The focal point of the celebrations took place over Jubilee weekend, an extended bank holiday from Thursday the 2nd of June to Sunday the 5th of June 2022. Historic royal palaces celebrated this extraordinary achievement with on-site and online experiences. In March, the Life Through a Royal Lens exhibition at Kensington Palace explored 200 years of royal photography. The centerpiece of our celebrations was Superbloom, a new natural landscape surrounding the Tower of London. Over 20 million flower seeds were sown in the moat in early 2022. Designed to bloom and evolve over the course of the summer in harmony with nature, Superbloom became a new haven for pollinators in London and a space to celebrate the value of nature for well-being. The Crown Jewels, a world-famous, unique collection of sacred and ceremonial objects. What are the Crown Jewels? The Crown Jewels are the nation's most precious treasures, including the sacred coronation regalia used at the coronations of new monarchs. Comprising more than 100 objects and over 23,000 gemstones, the crown jewels are priceless, being of incalculable cultural, historical, and symbolic value. They are part of the royal collection, held in trust by the monarch for the nation. The crown jewels collection includes St. Edward's crown, which is only used to crown a new king or queen during the coronation ceremony, and the imperial state crown, used by the monarch at state occasions such as the state opening of Parliament. The crown jewels have been protected at the Tower of London since the 1660s, where they have attracted visitors ever since. The coronation regalia. At the heart of the crown jewels collection are the coronation regalia, the sacred objects used during the coronation ceremony. These unique objects represent the powers and responsibilities of the monarch. The coronation regalia were most recently used at the coronation of King Charles III and Queen Camilla on the 6th of May 2023, and include the sovereign's scepter with cross, the sovereign's orb, and the coronation spoon. Crown Jewels Q&A. Are they real? The question most visitors ask about the crown jewels is, are they real? Yes, they are. The crown jewels have been protected by the Tower of London and its communities since the 1660s. They are a working collection used at annual state occasions like the state opening of Parliament, as well as at less frequent occasions, such as coronations. St. Edward's Crown, 1661. St. Edward's crown is the most important and sacred of all the crowns. It is only used at the moment of crowning itself. Key facts. The magnificent solid gold frame weighs 2.23 kilograms, nearly 5 pounds, and is adorned with semi-precious stones. St. Edward's crown was made for the coronation of Charles II to replace the medieval crown melted down by parliamentarians in 1649, after the execution of King Charles I. This lost medieval crown was said to have belonged to the 11th century royal saint, King Edward the Confessor. St. Edward's crown was last used for crowning Charles III in 2023. The Imperial State Crown, 1937. The Imperial State Crown is the crown that the monarch wears as they leave Westminster Abbey after the coronation. It is also used on other state occasions, including the annual state opening of Parliament. Key facts. The crown is made of gold and set with 2,868 diamonds, 17 sapphires, 11 emeralds, 269 pearls, and 4 rubies. The crown contains some of the most famous jewels in the collection. These include the Black Prince's ruby, the Stuart sapphire, and the Cullinan II diamond. St. Edward's sapphire, set in the center of the topmost cross, is said to have been worn in a ring by St. Edward the Confessor and discovered in his tomb in 1163. The imperial state crown was made for the coronation of King George VI in 1937, replacing the crown made for Queen Victoria in 1838. The Koh-i-Noor. The Koh-i-Noor diamond is one of the most famous diamonds in the world. Probably originating from the Golconda mines in central southern India, the diamond has had a turbulent history. A symbol of conquest, the Koh-i-Noor has had many previous owners, including Mughal emperors, Shahs of Iran, Emirs of Afghanistan, and Sikh Maharajas. The East India Company took the jewel from deposed 10-year-old Maharaja Duleep Singh in 1849, as a condition of the Treaty of Lahore. This marked the end of the Anglo-Sikh Wars in the Punjab, in present-day northern India and eastern Pakistan. The treaty specified that the jewel be surrendered to Queen Victoria. The Koh-i-Noor diamond weighs 105.6 carats. It was once much larger but was recut in 1852 to improve its brilliance and conform to contemporary European tastes. Opposing legends have maintained that the diamond is both lucky and unlucky. More recent tradition asserts it would bring misfortune if worn by a man. The Koh-i-Noor is now set in the crown of Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother, 1937. Early history of Koh-i-Noor. Nader Shah seated on the peacock throne after the defeat of the 13th Mughal Emperor Muhammad Shah. In early Indian history, diamonds were the most valued of gemstones. However, during the period of Mughal rule, diamonds lost this distinction. When looking at the Mughal treasury, Abul al-Fazl ibn Mubarak, the Grand Vizier to Akbar, noted that red spinels and Burmese rubies had become the most desirable jewels by the nobility. During this time the Persian New Year ceremony, Nowruz, had become a period in which the subjects could bring offerings of gems and money to the imperial family in exchange for political promotions within the greater bureaucracy. By the time Shah Jahan ascended the throne as the fifth Mughal emperor, there were so many jewels in the treasury that he decided to use many of them in the making of the ornate peacock throne in 1635. Over a century later in 1738 Nader Shah, founder of the Afsharid dynasty, following the overthrow of the Safavid dynasty of Persia 2 years earlier, began raiding into Mughal territory before soon launching a full-scale invasion of northwest India. This invading force soon captured Delhi where, after a massacre of the civilian population, the army began a systematic looting of the wealth of the city and the treasury of the Mughal Empire. With nearly 10,000 wagons of loot, along with millions of rupees and an assortment of other historic jewels, Nader Shah also carried away the imperial peacock throne. Nader Shah's biographer, Muhammad Kazim Marvi, first recorded seeing the Koh-i-Noor in the 1740s on the head of one of the peacocks on the throne, along with other prominent gems such as the Great Timur ruby and the Darya-i-Noor. It is alleged that Nader Shah exclaimed, Koh-i-Noor, Persian and Hindi Urdu for mountain of light, when he first obtained the famous stone. One of his consorts is even noted to have said, if a strong man were to throw 4 stones, one north, one south, one east, one west, and a 5th stone up into the air, and if the space between them were to be filled with gold, all would not equal the value of the Koh-i-Noor. After Nadir Shah was killed and his empire collapsed in 1747, the Koh-i-Noor fell to his grandson, who in 1751 gave it to Ahmad Shah Durrani, founder of the Afghan Empire, in return for his support. One of Ahmed's grandsons, Shah Shuja Durrani, wore a bracelet containing the Koh-i-Noor on the occasion of Mount Stuart Elphinstone's visit to Peshawar in 1808. A year later, Shah Shuja formed an alliance with the United Kingdom to help defend against a possible invasion of Afghanistan by Russia. He was quickly overthrown, but fled with the diamond to Lahore, in modern Pakistan, where Ranjit Singh, founder of the Sikh Empire, in return for his hospitality, insisted upon the gem being given to him, and he took possession of it in 1813. According to Shah Shuja's memoirs, Ranjit Singh extorted the diamond from him by having his son tortured in front on him, although this may have been a story invented by Shuja to justify giving up such a valuable object, willingly or not. Ranjit Singh had the diamond examined by jewelers of Lahore for 2 days to ensure that Shuja had not tricked him. After the jewelers confirmed its genuineness, he donated 125,000 rupees to Shuja. Ranjit Singh then asked the principal jewelers of Amritsar to estimate the diamond's value. The jewelers declared that the value of the diamond was far beyond all computation. Ranjit Singh then affixed the diamond to the front of his turban, and paraded on an elephant to enable his subjects to see it. He used to wear it as an armlet during major festivals such as Diwali and Dussehra, and took it with him during travel. He would exhibit it to prominent visitors, especially British officers. 2009 portrait of Ranjit Singh wearing the Koh-i-Noor armlet. One day, Ranjit Singh asked the diamond's former owners, Shuja and his wife Wafa Begum, to estimate its value. Wafa Begum replied that if a strong man threw a stone in 4 cardinal directions and vertically, Koh-i-Noor would be worth more than the gold and precious stones filled in the space. Ranjit Singh grew paranoid about the Koh-i-Noor being stolen, because in the past, another valuable jewel had been stolen from him while he was intoxicated. He kept the diamond within a high-security facility at the Gobandgarh fort when it was not in use. When the diamond was to be transported, it was placed in a pannier on a guarded camel. 39 other camels with identical panniers were included in the convoy. The diamond was always placed on the first camel immediately behind the guards, but great secrecy was maintained regarding which camel carried it. Only Ranjit Singh's treasurer Misar Beli Ram knew which camel carried the diamond. In June 1839, Ranjit Singh suffered his 3rd stroke, and it became apparent that he would die soon. On his deathbed, he started giving away his valuable possessions to religious charities, and appointed his eldest son Karik Singh as his successor. A day before his death, on the 26th of June 1839, a major argument broke out between his courtiers regarding the fate of Koh-i-Noor. Ranjit Singh himself was too weak to speak, and communicated using gestures. Bhai Gobind Ram, the head Brahmin of Ranjit Singh, insisted that the king had willed Koh-i-Noor and other jewels to the Jagannath temple, Puri. The king apparently supported this claim through gestures, as recorded in his court chronicle Umdat ul-Tawarikh. However, Treasurer Beli Ram insisted that it was a state property rather than Ranjit Singh's personal property, and therefore, should be handed over to Karik Singh. After Ranjit Singh's death, Beli Ram refused to send the diamond to the temple, and hid it in his vaults. Meanwhile, Karik Singh and Wazir Dian Singh also issued orders stating that the diamond should not be taken out of Lahore. In Gulab Singh's possession. Edit. Maharaja Gulab Singh riding on elephant. Sikh Empire under 5-year-old Maharaja Duleep Singh. To the right is Suchet Singh and to the immediate left is Maharaja Gulab Singh of Jammu and Kashmir, who ultimately wielded influence over the Koh-i-Noor, and its transfer to the United Kingdom. On the 8th of October 1839, the new Emperor Karik Singh was overthrown in a coup by his Prime Minister Dian Singh. The Prime Minister's brother Gulab Singh, Raja of Jammu, came into possession of the Koh-i-Noor. Karik Singh later died in prison, soon followed by the mysterious death of his son and successor now Nihal Singh on the 5th of November 1840. Gulab Singh held onto the stone until January 1841, when he presented it to Emperor Sher Singh in order to win his favor, after his brother Dian Singh negotiated a ceasefire between Sher Singh and the overthrown Empress Chand Kaur. Gulab Singh had attempted to defend the widowed empress at her fort in Lahore, during 2 days of conflict and shelling by Sher Singh and his troops. Despite handing over the Koh-i-Noor, Gulab Singh as a result of the ceasefire returned safely to Jammu with a wealth of gold and other jewels taken from the treasury. Worn by child Emperor Duleep Singh. Edit. On the 15th of September 1843, both Sher Singh and Prime Minister Dian Singh were assassinated in a coup led by Ajit Singh Sandawalia. However, the next day in a counter-coup led by Dian's son Hira Singh the assassins were killed. Aged 24, Hira Singh succeeded his father as Prime Minister, and installed the 5-year-old Duleep Singh as Emperor. The Koh-i-Noor was now fastened to the arm of the child emperor in court at Lahore. Duleep Singh and his mother Empress Jind Kaur had till then resided in Jammu, the kingdom governed by Gulab Singh. Following his nephew Prime Minister Hira Singh's assassination on the 27th of March 1844, and the subsequent outbreak of the First Anglo-Sikh War, Gulab Singh himself led the Sikh Empire as its prime minister, and despite defeat in the war, he became the first Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir on the 16th of March 1846, under the Treaty of Amritsar. Acquisition by Queen Victoria. Edit. Queen Victoria wearing the Koh-i-Noor as a brooch, by Franz Xaver Winterhalter. On the 29th of March 1849, following the conclusion of the Second Anglo-Sikh War, the Kingdom of Punjab was formally annexed to Company rule, and the last Treaty of Lahore was signed, officially ceding the Koh-i-Noor to Queen Victoria and the Maharaja's other assets to the Company. Article 3 of the treaty read, "The gem called the Koh-i-Noor, which was taken from Shah Suja-ul-Mulk by Maharaja Ranjit Singh, shall be surrendered by the Maharaja of Lahore to the Queen of England." The lead signatory of the treaty for the by then 11-year-old Maharaja Duleep Singh was his commander-in-chief Tej Singh, a loyalist of Maharaja Gulab Singh who had previously been in possession of the Koh-i-Noor and gained Kashmir from the Sikh Empire, via treaty with Britain, following the First Anglo-Sikh War. The Governor-General in charge of the ratification of this treaty was the Marquess of Dalhousie. The manner of his aiding in the transfer of the diamond was criticized even by some of his contemporaries in Britain. Although some thought it should have been presented as a gift to Queen Victoria by the East India Company, it is clear that Dalhousie believed the stone was a spoil of war, and treated it accordingly, ensuring that it was officially surrendered to her by Duleep Singh, the youngest son of Ranjit Singh. The presentation of the Koh-i-Noor by the East India Company to the Queen was the latest in a long history of transfers of the diamond as a coveted spoil of war. Duleep Singh had been placed in the guardianship of Dr. John Spencer Login, a surgeon in the East India Company Army serving in the Presidency of Bengal. Duleep Singh moved to England in 1854 and spent the rest of his life in exile. Journey to the United Kingdom. Edit. Diagram of the pre-1852 cut. Fig. I. Shaded area is the base. Fig. 2. A. Floor. B and C. Notches cut to hold stone in a setting. D. Floor created by fracture at E. F. Fracture created by a blow. G. Unpolished cleavage plane. H. Basal cleavage plane. Fig. 3. Opposite side, showing facets and peak of the Mountain of Light. In due course, the Governor-General received the Koh-i-Noor from Dr. Login, who had been appointed Governor of the Citadel, on the 6th of April 1848 under a receipt dated the 7th of December 1849, in the presence of members of the Board of Administration for the Affairs of the Punjab, Sir Henry Lawrence, President, C. G. Mansell, John Lawrence and Sir Henry Elliot, Secretary to the Government of India. Legend in the Lawrence family has it that before the voyage, John Lawrence left the jewel in his waistcoat pocket when it was sent to be laundered, and was most grateful when it was returned promptly by the valet who found it. On the 1st of February 1850, the jewel was sealed in a small iron safe inside a red dispatch box, both sealed with red tape and a wax seal and kept in a chest at Bombay Treasury awaiting a steamer ship from China. It was then sent to England for presentation to Queen Victoria in the care of Captain J. Ramsay and Brevet Lieutenant Col. F. Maxon under tight security arrangements, one of which was the placement of the dispatch box in a larger iron safe. They departed from Bombay on the 6th of April on board HMS Medea, captained by Captain Lockyer. The ship had a difficult voyage. An outbreak of cholera on board when the ship was in Mauritius had the locals demanding its departure, and they asked the governor to open fire on the vessel and destroy it if there was no response. Shortly afterwards, the vessel was hit by a severe gale that blew for some 12 hours. On arrival in Britain on the 29th of June, the passengers and mail were unloaded in Plymouth, but the Koh-i-Noor stayed on board until the ship reached Spithead, near Portsmouth, on the 1st of July. The next morning, Ramsay and Maxon, in the company of Mr. Onslow, the private secretary to the chairman of the Court of Directors of the British East India Company, proceeded by train to East India House in the City of London and passed the diamond into the care of the chairman and deputy chairman of the East India Company. The Koh-i-Noor was formally presented to Queen Victoria on the 3rd of July 1850 at Buckingham Palace by the deputy chairman of the East India Company. The date had been chosen to coincide with the company's 250th anniversary. Ownership dispute. The Koh-i-Noor has long been a subject of diplomatic controversy, with India, Pakistan, Iran, and Afghanistan all demanding its return from the UK at various points. India. The government of India first demanded the return of the Koh-i-Noor as soon as independence was granted in 1947. A second request followed in 1953, the year of the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. Each time, the British government rejected the claims, saying that ownership was non-negotiable. In 2000, several members of the Indian Parliament signed a letter calling for the diamond to be given back to India, claiming it was taken illegally. British officials said that a variety of claims meant it was impossible to establish the diamond's original owner, and that it had been part of Britain's heritage for more than 150 years. In July 2010, while visiting India, David Cameron, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, said of returning the diamond, "If you say yes to one, you suddenly find the British Museum would be empty. I am afraid to say, it is going to have to stay put." On a subsequent visit in February 2013, he said, "They're not having that back." In April 2016, the Indian Culture Ministry stated it would make all possible efforts to arrange the return of the Koh-i-Noor to India. The then Solicitor General of India, Ranjit Kumar, said, "It was given voluntarily by Ranjit Singh to the British as compensation for help in the Sikh wars. The Koh-i-Noor is not a stolen object." Pakistan. In 1976, Pakistan asserted its ownership of the diamond, saying its return would be a convincing demonstration of the spirit that moved Britain voluntarily to shed its imperial encumbrances and lead the process of decolonization. In a letter to the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, James Callaghan, wrote, "I need not remind you of the various hands through which the stone has passed over the past 2 centuries, nor that explicit provision for its transfer to the British Crown was made in the peace treaty with the Maharaja of the Sikh Empire in 1849. I could not advise Her Majesty that it should be surrendered." 80. Afghanistan. In 2000, the Taliban's Foreign Affairs spokesman, Faiz Ahmed Faiz, said that Koh-i-Noor was the legitimate property of Afghanistan, and demanded for it to be handed over to the regime. The history of the diamond shows it was taken from us, Afghanistan, to India, and from there to Britain. We have a much better claim than the Indians, he said. The Afghan claim derives from Shah Shuja Durrani's memoirs, which states he surrendered the diamond to Ranjit Singh while Singh was having his son tortured in front of him, so he argued that the Maharaja of Lahore acquired the stone illegitimately. Possible compromises. Because of the disputes over the diamond's rightful ownership, there have been various compromises suggested. These include dividing it into 4, with a piece given to each of Afghanistan, India, and Pakistan, with the final piece retained by the British Crown. Another suggestion is that the jewel be housed in a special museum at the Wagah border between India and Pakistan. However, this suggestion does not cater to Afghan claims, nor the reality of current British possession. The British government rejects these compromises, and has stated since the end of the British Raj that the status of the diamond is non-negotiable. The Ravens. If the ravens leave the tower, the kingdom will fall. Meet the famous ravens at the Tower of London and learn more about why they are known as the guardians of the tower, at their lodgings on the South Lawn. The names of our current tower ravens are Jubilee, Harris, Poppy, Georgie, Edgar, Branwen and Rex. Ravens are intelligent birds and each of ours has its own personality. They can mimic sounds, play games and solve problems. See if you can spot some of their fascinating behavior on your visit as they explore the tower grounds. The legend of the Tower Ravens. It is said that the kingdom and the Tower of London will fall if the 6 resident ravens ever leave the fortress. Charles II is thought to have been the first to insist that the ravens of the tower be protected after he was warned that the crown and the tower itself would fall if they left. The king's order was given against the wishes of his astronomer, John Flamsteed, who complained the ravens impeded the business of his observatory in the White Tower. Meet the famous ravens at the Tower of London and learn more about why they are known as the guardians of the tower, at their lodgings on the South Lawn. The names of our current tower ravens are Jubilee, Harris, Poppy, Georgie, Edgar, Branwen and Rex. Ravens are intelligent birds and each of ours has its own personality. They can mimic sounds, play games and solve problems. See if you can spot some of their fascinating behavior on your visit as they explore the tower grounds. The legend of the Tower Ravens. It is said that the kingdom and the Tower of London will fall if the 6 resident ravens ever leave the fortress. Charles II is thought to have been the first to insist that the ravens of the tower be protected after he was warned that the crown and the tower itself would fall if they left. The king's order was given against the wishes of his astronomer, John Flamsteed, who complained the ravens impeded the business of his observatory in the White Tower. Royal armor and surprising tales. The magnificent tournament armor of Henry VIII and the gilded armors of Charles I and James II take pride of place in the line of kings in the White Tower. The fabulous silvered and engraved armor of Henry VIII was made for the young, slender king in c. 1510-15. This is the earliest of the 6 surviving armors of Henry VIII, made for him when he cut a fine figure on horseback. There are many other rare and superbly crafted pieces made for noblemen as well as common soldiers. The Royal Armouries have always featured extraordinary curiosities. Discover the armors of the giant, the dwarf, and the gift from the Great Mogul. The line of kings was created in the 17th century and is one of the earliest museum exhibits. It was installed for King Charles II by the Royal Armouries to promote the restored monarchy. Historic armors were displayed on life-like wooden figures, including those of Henry VIII, Charles I and later James II, in a parade of beautifully carved horses. Queens and less popular monarchs were left out as they didn't play a part in this royal message to early tower visitors. Over the centuries the line of kings has been rearranged a number of times. Today, you can enjoy a display that combines this fascinating tower story with amazing royal objects and their individual histories. Centuries of visitors. When you visit the line of kings, you're following in the footsteps of 350 years of visitors from all over the world. Read what visitors throughout history have thought of the exhibition, and leave your own impressions for future guests. 8 things you need to know about the Tower of London. 1. The White Tower, 1,000 years of history. William the Conqueror started building the White Tower shortly after the Norman conquest of 1066. The mighty Norman castle was a symbol of royal power not seen before in England. It was intended to both protect and intimidate the City of London. 2. Uses of the Tower. The Tower of London has been many things throughout its long history. It was designed to be an important royal fortress, palace, and prison. It has also been home to the Royal Armouries, the Crown Jewels, and even the Royal Menagerie. 3. Famous inhabitants of the Tower. Some of the most famous people in British history have lived or stayed at the Tower. These have included monarchs Edward I, Henry VIII, Anne Boleyn, and Queen Elizabeth I. Other famous inhabitants included poet Geoffrey Chaucer, Sir Walter Raleigh, and the Duke of Wellington. 4. Famous prisoners of the Tower. Many famous prisoners were imprisoned at the Tower of London. These have included Thomas More, Sir Walter Raleigh, Guy Fawkes, and the Cray twins. No prisoner was more famous than Queen Anne Boleyn, who was executed at the Tower in 1536. 5. Hidden treasures. Sadly, there are parts of the Tower which can't easily be shared with all our visitors. These include secret cells where some of our most famous prisoners were kept, amazing archaeology, and wondrous works of art. One of the most breathtaking is the mesmerizing Byward Angel. 6. How many towers? Although the White Tower is the best known and most iconic, the Tower of London has 23 named towers, and that's not to mention all the smaller turrets. The many buildings at the tower have facilitated stores, a royal mint, and even an observatory. 7. Representations of the tower in art. There aren't many buildings in London that have been painted, drawn, and written about as much as the Tower of London. As the backdrop to some of the most famous events in British history, it is not surprising so many artists have been inspired by its grandeur, history and myths. 8. Ready to welcome you. The Tower of London and its people can't wait to welcome you. Teams of Yeomen Warders, wardens and a host of heritage professionals are ready to make your visit special. Come and marvel at the crown jewels, see the ravens, and journey through 1,000 years of history and stories. If you like this all information, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe the page or channel.